I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Welcome to Cookies, the playoff basketball podcast. I'm Ben Detrick. Thank goodness Jordan Redaelli is back as usual.
Guess who's back in the mother fudging house?
You are in the mother fudging house?
Mother fudging house. I've my time away. I took a long, strong look into my filthy, decrepit soul and decided to stop swearing.
Like other famous Jordans, you abandoned your team, but you came back triumphantly.
He's back. You know who else is in the mother father house?
Oh.
Andrew Kuo.
What's up, guys?
Swoop. Mother father is one of my favorites. I forget who did that. Was it a Goodfellas edit? Summon said like fudge you, mother father.
I like that. I might put it into my new sudsy mouthed repertoire.
Did you get your mouth washed out with soap as a kid, in a literal sense, as punishment?
No.
But after I saw the Christmas Story, I licked a bar of soap to see how bad it was. Horrible. It's horrible.
My parents did it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I don't know. I just talk sass. And you get yoked up and they just wedge
you, Mom.
They wedge the soap in your mouth and you get some stuck between your teeth. It really sucks.
It
That's
tastes
why they
terrible.
invented liquid soap. Makes it easier for parents to choke their kids.
Just straight down the gullet.
Yeah. What other corporal punishment did you suffer as a child?
That was kind of it, but it does explain my love for eating Tide Pods. But no, didn't really suffer any brutality.
You didn't get the belt?
Not too much.
Not too much. I used to get the belt, but it was wrapped around my neck.
Is that a kink?
Nick Nurse over here.
No shaming.
It was while I was young enough to not get a boner yet, so it was fine.
All right, we're back in form.
Hey, I said
back.
I wasn't going to swear. I didn't say I wouldn't be disgusting.
Well, you just turned Frank Vogel on right now. If he's tuning in, his ears
Nick Nurse just logged on, man.
his ears started tingling. Yeah, those two guys definitely have kinks, and it definitely involves dungeons.
I would have thought the Van Gundys would be kink guys, but after hearing Stan Van Gundy all over ESPN, he's a real normal dude. He eats potato chips and has hamburgers and just sits around and thinks about hoops.
Now I want to think about all NBA coaches as homeboy from Billions, Giamatti, just in his dungeon getting his fucking dinkle tinkled. He's
already violated his cursing oath.
Did I swear?
You did.
Fiddle-dee-dee.
This mother father. Well, I'm glad Jordan's back. Oh, Andrew Kuo is here.
What's up?
Sorry for the delayed introduction.
No, we did it already.
Yeah, I thought we did too.
We kind of let it be known he was here by him talking. I like your Starry Night hat. Those are very cool.
Thanks, man. Schritz. Me and my buddy make these Starry Night hats. Also, water lilies. Also, some O'Keeffe's coming out.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
As in Georgia?
It's in Georgia. Some Mary Cassatt's gonna blaze the streets soon.
Not Adam Keefe's? Former Lakers legend?
Is that right?
Who did Adam Keefe play for?
I don't remember Adam Keefe. Was he related to Chief?
I wonder if this is a Berenstain Bears effect. Maybe there is no Adam Keefe.
You thought this whole time Chief Keefe's father was a Laker?
Adam Keefe. Yeah, where do people get those hats? I like that we're pretending like you're like a guest. So where would I get one of your Starry Night hats? And what else are you working on, Kuo?
Unfortunately, only for cash at Marlboro Contemporary on Saturdays between 10 and 6.
Yeah, so drop in and pick up one of those. But they are actually cool. I'm not just saying this to promote your shit because I don't care about it. They're actually good-looking hats.
Wow.
Hey, Jordan, you got anything to promote?
No.
Okay, good.
Just clean living, clean mouths.
Well,
Oh, actually, no. I'm going to do a little self promotion. Raptors, yeah. Cold in October. What's up,
just all
motherfuckers?
right.
I'm back to swearing.
he only came on the show after being tardy for weeks to toot his own horn
I wasn't being tardy. I was ill, deathly, not deathly.
for
Ill.
for weeks on end.
Well, one show I just didn't want to come, and then the other two I was actually sick.
But now that he's got the Raptors to gloat over, look who's back in the mother effing house.
Mother, father, house. What was it hard to watch your prediction beat your favorite team, the
It was.
Milwaukee Bucks?
Yes, it was.
You were just like a lifetime being a Bucks fan.
It
really
was-
comes to a head.
It was disappointing that the Bucks didn't go through, but it was the manner in which they didn't go through, which you know what? It wasn't that heartbreaking. They didn't have it. They just didn't have it. They're not ready.
All those
So
years you spent crying over Michael Redd
Code Red,
for it to happen this way. It had to be crushing.
Sam Cassell, the
It
gods.
wasn't that crushing. The Bucks played pretty bad.
We don't have to rehash old stuff.
You wearing the big dog jersey to bed every night for this moment.
When
I'm sad his son didn't turn out to be a player. I wanted Glenn Robinson III to do something.
Here's a mean take. Glenn Robinson, wildly overrated, wasn't good.
I
is
think
he only overrated because he was overpaid?
he's not overrated. No one talks about Glenn Robinson. I mean,
At the
players get
time-
paid.
At the time, we think he was really good.
He was a number one overall.
Yeah, great college player.
Yeah,
Kind of not a great pro, although he scored some points.
he was good enough, right?
Good enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a blown pick. I just mean, when we're like, oh, Glenn Robinson, he was a baller. He was a baller who
Yeah, but
wasn't that
I've
great.
never heard anyone say that for 20 years.
He's Zion Williamson, isn't he?
Well, the only reason he came up was there was a thing going around Twitter, like who are the best basketball players that no one talks about that are totally forgotten. And Glenn Robinson was mentioned by a few people, and I was like, let me go look at the numbers.
He's okay.
Awesome college player.
Awesome nickname, Big Dog.
One of the best nicknames.
That's true.
Like simple to the point.
Not as good as Birdman.
Yeah, but the only problem is Big Dog. Like a lot of people call me Big Dog. You know, it's not that special.
That's true.
It's
Oh,
a lot
right.
of people have that name, including me.
Would you prefer to be called the Junkyard Dog, JYD?
That's a really good nickname.
That's fantastic. There's been a few in the NBA, right?
When I
Yeah.
think of Junkyard Dog in the NBA, I think of
Few
Junkyard Dog.
Few people have called
Jerome
me,
Williams.
few people have called me Junkie Dog, but I don't think they think that it means the same thing, right?
I think it means you're tough and
Yeah,
scrappy,
yeah.
and you like to root around for drugs.
I watched JYD on TV make a meatloaf with his mom once, and it was like very calming. All he did was he's like, well, you take the ground beef and then you put the packet in and you bake it, and it was just like very charming.
Was it ASMR-y?
Yes, he covered it with ketchup. He waited for it to bake, and he was like, "I'm the Junkyard Dog, and this is my mom.
Does
I
he
love
have-
her."
Soothing tones.
He seems like a bro.
But does he speak soothingly?
No, not necessarily, but the action itself was
You wouldn't
soothing.
expect a Junkyard Dog to speak soothingly.
A low growl.
He's a Knicks legend, man.
Before we get into total basketball stuff, Serge Ibaka, he's got his little cooking show on YouTube, which I checked out. Don't love it, but it's an interesting kind of idea to see an athlete cooking weird food and his teammates eating it. So he served cow dick to Kawhi Leonard, worms to somebody, or I don't know if they were like larvae to someone. So he cooks exotic.
Imagine there's a lot of goat.
I've only seen a couple. I don't know.
Crickets.
Yeah,
Bugs.
and I know he's had Lynn on there, and Lynn's just like whatever.
Easy there. What are you implying, man?
Lynn's like, give me that stinky rice, stinky tofu.
Lynn's like, you
I can't do stinky tofu.
Oh my
man.
god, it's
awful.
so fucked
It's
up.
awful.
It's so fucked up.
Ugh.
Like I smelled it and I was like, oh fuck it, I'll try it. And then I ate it. And
It
I
tastes like
couldn't-
it smells.
It's like cow pat. It's manure. And I couldn't. I put putting sriracha and shit on everything. I couldn't get the taste out of my mouth for hours.
Is it just fermented?
It's just rotten, but it's gonna die out, right? Like the only generation that likes it is like over 50. It's gonna be a dead food in like 25 years, right?
What about durian?
I don't mind durian.
I've never had it.
It's not bad. There's a place on Grand Street that like cuts them and like packages them,
And they're
up
like
for
hanging
you.
outside. They're everywhere.
They're deadly. Oh yeah, in the city, they're just hanging safely. But they kill people when they fall off a tree, so they have to put nets down in where the durian
Oh,
trees
because
are.
they're heavy and covered with
Spiky.
spikes.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to try Stinky Tofu, there's an amazing restaurant in Bushwick called Winsun that serves it. They also serve other delicious foods. But if you want to,
Sounds like a promo happening.
Have you been there recently?
I go there all the time. It's great, but I'll never eat that Stinky Tofu again.
It's
But if you don't try it, you're lame.
like in the street markets over there in Asia, everything smells delicious. It has like a odor of like five spice, which is just like cinnamon, clove. It's just like, oh, it smells amazing. And then you get to the Stinky Tofu booth, and it's just like a bomb. It's just like, it's just very unpleasant. I'm like, is that rotting garbage or is that food? Which is the same thing, I guess. But like, ooh,
There's also a version of fermented shark, I believe, in
That's right.
Icelandic and Scandinavian food that has that same sort of foulness and generational appeal where young people are like, come on, man.
Yes.
But older people sort of traditionally get into it. And it makes sense. Their traditions go back to not having food to eat except for, say, shark that's been sitting around for a while.
I saw Andrew Zimmern eat that stuff on his show on Travel. I was thinking, like, what's more aughts than food shows? Doesn't that define that decade? Like, no one does like food competitions anymore. Like, how did Food Network? I kind of read that article, so I kind of know why. How did they drop the ball?
You tell us, since you read the article.
This feels like a setup.
Yeah.
They couldn't manufacture a star. They weren't sure what their demographic was. So they had all these old chefs on, and they were like, oh, we need to appeal to the youth. So they had all these cooking shows, but they couldn't find a lane with like a celebrity. And they tried. But Food Network was the shit for a while. Now, not so much.
Never really watched food shows, to tell you the truth.
No, not even some Bourdainage.
No. No, I'm like, I only started watching him after he died. The same as I only started listening to Nirvana after Kurt Cobain shot
I watched
himself.
all the Bourdains after he died. Really melancholy, sad. I always use that word. It was very sad. But I was kind of like fighting him
Yeah.
in real time because he's kind of like get off my lawn.
That's kind of like I
101.
only started watching basketball after Michael Jordan had his dad murdered.
True. Was that?
You
What
only
year was
started
that?
doing drugs after Len Bias perished. I don't know. With the food thing is very mid noughts, right, or early noughts in general. Just the food trend where it's like chefs are celebrities, and you're like, actually, I don't know if they are because chefs are typically kind of problematic people. And there was an article in the New Yorker about the Joe Beef guys who are part of that sort of celebration of pork.
It's Montreal, right?
Yeah, and pork and meat and copious amounts of alcohol and just this sort of uber masculine way of living that was definitely part of the culinary era of David Chang and all these kind of people. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. And there's a good story in the New Yorker that kind of talks about them becoming sober, and it's detailing their place in the culinary world. And by the end, it starts kind of getting into the fact that they weren't the best dudes and that there are problems still with who they associate with. And I thought it was a cool way to kind of unpack that idea that things weren't actually particularly great in that moment that we celebrated. And there are ramifications to that. And now people are kind of trying to figure out a way to resuscitate their image in the aftermath of like Me Too and just, wokeness, whether performative or real. Anyway, good story. I think it's
You know what I find really weird about
reasonable.
chefs, famous ones, is that they don't make any money. Like they're the best in their field, and they're famous. They have celebrity, but for being chefs, they don't really make that much money because it's tied to a restaurant which has such high overheads. Like if you're the best and most famous musician, you make buckets of money. If you're Brad Pitt, you make buckets of money, and you get to be Brad Pitt, which is cool.
Which
I like
is
that ad lib.
That's a huge part of being Brad Pitt is being him.
Yeah, fuck yeah, he's still handsome. And if you're a world famous hand surgeon, you make buckets of money. You don't make anything as a chef unless you have a side hustle, which is TV or books. But for your actual job that you're known for, you don't really make anything.
Same with fashion designers. Same with artists. It's like with the fashion things, like you do your line, and then you just hope like a bigger company swoops in and just like hires you off. You know, there's only like a handful. Like, why aren't you as good as LeBron James? I'm like, oh, there's just one. It's just like, well, he's kind of the LeBron James model. I'm like, there's this like Ben Simmons is also there's just one, you know, and like. Yeah, with the restaurant stuff, it's crazy because Jamie Oliver just closed down all of his Italian restaurants, right? And like reading about the numbers was wild. Like I think he put in like 20 million of his own dollars or pounds. You know, like he tried to resuscitate that with his own money, and it just was like rolling off a cliff.
And it's also the idea of fast casual, where you're like, okay, let me find something that's scalable that I can put in every mall and be like the new Shake Shack. That's just like the template for becoming monumentally rich as a known celebrity chef. Starting your restaurant group and then spinning them off into chains that show up in airports.
You know how you make money in food in the United States? You franchise Nando's for the United States, man. That's all you need.
Is
Nando's.
that a crisp?
It's chicken.
Oh.
UK and Australia, like delicious chicken shit.
Is it fried?
Yeah, it's
Tell us.
fried, it's roasted, it's in salads and stuff. It's amazing.
What makes it like? What style are we talking? Like jerk chicken? Are we talking spicy? Southern's fried? Like,
Spicy, it's not
what's up?
Southern fried, it's English, dude, so it's everything.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have like a
I love
chicken
English
thing.
food. I
Yeah.
love English food. But
Kanye's a big Nando's fan.
1 year anniversary of Wyoming. That Wyoming excursion.
Are we marking that? Is that something that we're like, oh, gotta remember that? It's
Well-
the Wyoming anniversary.
Well, I just woke up today and was checking the news, and like today was the anniversary of that Wyoming thing, and then also
Why was that news?
It was just in my feed because I don't know. I have an entertainment feed.
Oh, it's like 1 year ago today, you wished you were in Wyoming with all the other cool kids.
But now, like, we can make fun of them because the album wasn't good, right? And the merch wasn't good and all that stuff. And then also, a year ago tonight, J.R. Smith blew that game 1 of the finals. That seemed like 10 years
also,
ago. man.
2 days ago, the 1 year anniversary of Burnergate. What a time to be
who?
alive.
What a time to be alive.
Who? No, I didn't hear.
Burnergate.
Burnergate. What's that?
I love it. Cookies. Perfect pot.
And
Oh, KD.
It's Ben's
Oh,
greatest
shit.
achievement.
Yeah.
Jordan has logged on.
Well, you know, I did see something online about that yesterday. That one Ben Detrick wrote a
Yeah,
story.
someone sent that to me. I'm like, really? Like, you couldn't even spell my name right?
So wait, it's 1 year. Is like the statute of limitations lifted? Can we talk about your takedown of the Sixers organization and one of the strongest?
We talk
most
about
famous-
that every week.
Yeah, but you kind of can you still be litigated against?
I don't think so.
Will any bookies or mafia connected
The
people
Colangeli?
come looking for you
Just guys in pinstripe suits with
with Tommy guns?
Tommy guns and bad draft picks.
Just holding, just like holding onto the side skirts of
That
an
was a real
Escalade.
burn.
They'll bust me up with their late first rounders.
Gonna rough you up for a second.
I will say that the aftermath of that, like up till now, is that I still see accounts that reply, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, are they back?
You showed me one yesterday, and you were just like, read this thing, and I was like, are they back?
I'm not going to say anything more because I got my eye on it. But also at the
Yeah.
same time, civilians now, so who cares?
Yes, exactly. They can
Doesn't
do whatever
matter.
they want.
But like, I will say, there's a few accounts out there. I'm like, caught my attention. I've been inside this brain for a while. Or there are ticks and opinions that I am well versed in due to the fact that I was submerged, and as were you, in those.
I have those tweets memorized, man.
And I've read every single one of them and seen every single like. So
Yeah.
when you start
Would you say
recognizing
you were,
patterns,
would you say you were balls deep in Colangelo?
In Colangeli.
In Colangeli?
I really just thought we were getting away from this kind of filth, and the Ludus cookie has
Logged on.
He's logged back on.
Hey man, I can always not show up for another 3 shows if you don't like my disgusting mouth.
I feel like your lewdness has almost been simmering for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and now has come back lewder than ever.
That's what happens when you're like laying on the floor of a hot, sweaty apartment for a
You're
week.
like the stinky tofu of lewdness.
Yes. That's what happens when you wallow in your own filth.
It's a delicacy to some.
Yes.
People pay money for that.
That in general is your role within the cookies universe. A disgusting delicacy.
A disgusting. Yeah, that and being right all the time.
You've got that going for you as well.
True.
So, because you haven't been here, I saw this list of Australia's top 10 chips that I was not able to discuss with Kuo. And
I'm
there's a
not
couple
Australian.
ones I wanted to get some information on. So this is a list from news.com.au, which I would assume is an Australian website. Their top 10
That's what
chips.
the AU stands for.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Austria. Cheese twisties.
Cheese twisties. Hell of a chip.
Sounds dirty. Sounds like Nick Nurse stuff.
Sounds like some like British perversion.
But you didn't look them up. They taste
why
like
why would I look them up? I have you every couple weeks.
they taste like craft singles. They've been dried out.
I'm into it. That's delicious
And
sounding.
yeah, they're and then like
Where can you get
and then
'em? Can we-
dusted.
can we go get 'em?
We could probably get them somewhere like in Soho.
Yeah.
You know,
At an Australian coffee shop, perhaps?
like,
one
what's
of the 50?
yeah, not the coffee, one of those. No, actually, I know where you can get them.
There's that UK shop.
Ruby's has like a weird clothing store thing. You can get Tim Tams and Cheezels and fucking Twisties and
Scene.
Milo and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it's
Tim
all like,
Tams are good.
It's all like $8,000, but whatever. Because Australians, one, greedy. Two, jack the price up on fucking everything. Like they're
What's
tiny
the currency
coffees
in
that are like
Australia?
Australian dollars.
And
AU
what's
dollars.
how much is it compared to a US dollar?
I actually don't know
I
because I
think
never go.
slightly less. That's only just based on vaguely seeing a comparison.
But everything there is mad expensive. Like cigarettes are $30 a packet. A beer is like $12.
The fuck?
A steak might run you $65. It's fucked up.
You've complained often about the price of drugs in Australia.
Oh yeah, gram of cocaine is $300, which is understandable because it's got to come all the way from Central America or whatever. And
Colombia to Australia is a hike.
it's a big hike.
Okay.
Heroin's cheap as shit though, because
It's cheap. I'm really PG rated, I guess. But how much does coke cost in New York City now?
I don't know if you're smart, nothing.
Yeah, true. Okay. Yeah. Right. It's like how much does pizza cost? Like, well, nothing if you're smart.
Yeah. I don't know. Coke's probably like $60 or something like that.
For like one person to party.
For
Tell me.
I think for a couple of lightweights to have a nice time.
Okay, 2 people can party for $60.
Easy.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. I think that'd be the price if one was to go in on a bag, as it's been described.
Yes. Securing a bag.
Securing a bag of number 5 on this list, Cheezels.
Cheezels. So much like a twisty, except different cheese flavor, but it is a thick, round ring. It's like a cheese donut.
Is it crunchy
Crunchies. Their chips are all crunchy.
and dusted or like flavored through?
Flavored through and dusted.
That sounds great.
Yeah, they're amazing. And so with Cheezels, what you do is when you're a kid, maybe my hands are probably too big now, you reach into the bag and put a ring on every finger and eat them off.
Sort of a Phil Jackson style of dining.
Yes, exactly.
Pat Riley, just throw the rings on the
Except
table.
if you were to put them all the way down to where a ring sits on the bottom knuckle and then you were to eat it off, that would be really disgusting.
That's gross.
Next up, we have chili kettle chips. That's boring. Burger rings. How are they different? They are number 9 on this list.
Burger rings is some shit you cannot describe. You have to try it for yourself.
Is there meat? Is it meat?
No, it's like
Are they Funyuns?
they're kind of
Oh, are they to eat with burgers?
no. They're also kind of cheesy and slightly meaty flavored. And
These
they
all
have
sound like
it-
the same
They
chip.
have it. They are kind of, but they are very different when you put them in your mouth. And then they have like this weird, almost like prawn cracker texture to them.
Love prawn chips.
Love them. Just stick them on your tongue.
Delicious.
And the last one I wanted to ask you
Good.
about.
This is definitely the last one, though, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, there's 10, but we're not covering all of them. Is just honey soy chicken Red Rock Deli.
Oh fuck, that's some newfangled shit. Oh my god, my filthy fucking mouth has come all the way back to you guys. It's
You're in finals form,
yeah.
baby.
Playoff cookies.
That's some new jack shit that I don't fuck with.
You know what? You know what shocked me when I saw that famous Australian movie, or was it New Zealand? Once Were Warriors, right?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. The beers
It's
were
all right, bro.
huge.
Don't worry about it, eh?
Yeah, the beers were huge. They would order like 6 beers for the table, and they would bring basically 6 40s to the table.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
They're called long necks.
Okay.
They're like,
Are they like 30
I think they're
ounces or something?
750 mils.
How many ounces is
I
that?
don't know.
It's like, it looked like 40 ounces.
They're big.
Yeah, and they were just drinking them like normal beers, and I was
Well,
like, what
in that
goes on
movie,
down
the
there?
thing that's crazy is that they would bring a crate of them from the bar to
Yeah.
the table.
And they would drink all of them.
Yeah.
Is that normal behavior?
Yes.
That's amazing.
One thing in some places in like South America, you order like 32-ounce bottles at the bar, but they're for sharing. And it's kind of a weird thing where you'd come to the table and you just put one down and everyone sort of pours them into small cups, and then someone would go and get like another 32-ounce, and you're like,
Taiwan does that too.
I get it, but it's also not that efficient.
Well, yeah, I was in Taiwan, and there was 2 of us, and we ordered like 2 beers, and they came like they were like 40-ounce beers, and we're like, no, we just want one. And he turned around and was like, that's like $1 US. Just like give it away to the person next to you if you don't want it.
Little personal keg with your dinner.
Yeah, and it goes down really fast when you drink out of small cups. Power hour.
In non-food news, since we've done our mandatory 25 minutes of talking about
I
Australian
think it's
fun
because we always do this at a time where none of us have eaten yet.
yeah.
Have you heard about the statistics of judges who give people, like, to sign on bail if people get bail or not? Before they eat, it's always no. And after they eat, it's always yes.
They give them bail after they eat. So
They're more forgivable when they're not hungry.
hangry, I believe. Like
Hangry.
Makes total sense.
It's wild, man. The statistic is just like black and white.
There was a study.
Could you? Would it be within your constitutional rights to make sure the judge has eaten before you are sentenced?
or have
slip them a Tim Tam.
your legal counsel come up with perhaps some cheesers and cheese-ots and give them to
And he's like,
Your
what, no
Honor.
burger rings?
Yeah, just throwing string cheese at the judge.
A pizza with nothing?
But related to that, there was a study that showed if you meet with someone like your boss or someone you wanted to do business with, bringing them a coffee makes a huge difference. Like giving someone a warm beverage that they're holding ingratiates themselves and generates feelings of warmth in turn.
That sounds like some teacher's pet shit, bringing them an apple.
I got in trouble
I mean,
last night.
It kind of is, but it's like hand someone a nice warm coffee and they're likely to, say, give you a raise.
You get in trouble almost every night.
I do. So last night, unfortunately, I couldn't watch the game. So I was like it was early. It was like 10 o'clock. I was scrambling to try to find somebody to talk about the game with and whatever. And I stopped and got a slice of pizza. And it was so delicious that I bought up all the single slices to bring to the bar so everyone can have a slice of pizza.
Which pizzeria was this?
It was Williamsburg Pizza in the Lower East
Classic.
Side.
Delicious.
It's super good, super good. I ate one. I was like, oh, this is an awesome batch. I'll just take the last 6 you have, and I brought them to the bar. And someone at the bar accused me of being a teacher's pet. And I was
Were you grade rubbing?
I don't like to walk into a place empty-handed ever. Bars are different. If you go to someone's house, you bring a beer. Like, you don't drink their beer. You make sure you bring enough so they are left with the same amount of beer that you showed up.
I agree with that. You bring a bottle of wine or you bring a beer.
Yes,
If you're going to
exactly.
drink at someone's house, you bring stuff that theoretically you could drink, but really you're
Or
just
a
contributing.
growler of kombucha.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got into trouble
A
at the
carton
bar.
of milk, perhaps.
Someone
Would it
was
be
like,
Oatly?
Oatly?
Oatly.
Oatly.
I had some
Wait,
inferior oat milk today, and honestly, I feel like that hangry judge didn't set my day off
Do people toast the
perfectly.
oats before they get the milk out of it, or is it just like raw dog oat? No toast. No toast.
I don't think it's toasted. It might just be the raw dog.
would you make French toast with oat milk?
No, because like almond milk, right?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Do they toast the almonds first? Because it's a completely different flavor.
No, I think
I don't think so.
pressed.
I think it's raw.
It's raw.
If you dried it out, you wouldn't be able
once
to
watched
get the milk from it.
No, but they run water through it, right? It's not actual just the liquid from the.
No, it's definitely a water
I
process.
watched a
It's not raw dog.
I watched a documentary of Anthony Kiedis from the greatest band of all time, the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Agreed.
making his own almond milk, and it's raw almonds.
Yeah, you put them into a basin, you stomp on them until the liquid
I mean,
comes
Anthony
out of them.
Kiedis is definitely a raw dog kind of guy.
Maybe a sock on it.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, fucking basketball, huh?
We're gonna skip over.
There's one other food
wait,
thing I
wait.
wanted to bring
Oh,
up.
God.
No, and it goes. I put this up on
Fortune cookies in full effect.
on Twitter a couple days ago, and it goes with the idea of you show up with something to people's houses if you're going to watch a game, a party, what have you, a little soiree.
Some chips, some crisps.
What
Cookies.
If you said, "I'm going to be the guy who brings long novelty sandwiches instead of alcohol," what's the ratio of feet per sandwich to bottles of wine? I think 3.
3 feet of sandwich to every bottle of wine. That's too much sandwich.
Too much sandwich.
A foot of sandwich
Yeah,
to
but
every bottle
the
of
problem
wine.
is you can't bring a foot-long sandwich to someone's house because that's just bringing a sandwich. It's not a novelty sandwich unless it's, I think, over 2 feet.
I've done this, and all you have to do is cut it up into small pieces and arrange it on a tray.
You're saying it's like a 1-foot sandwich is equivalent to a bottle of wine? No.
Yeah, because you don't want to get full on the sando. You want to have the wine and a little bit of
Just bring a box of donuts.
Burger rings even.
on your fingers.
I'm
If people
sticking
have
with,
to
I'm
eat
sticking
them
with
off your fingers.
2.5 feet of sandwich per bottle of wine.
Too much sandwich. So if you have 2 bottles of wine, that's 5 feet of sandwich.
Hell yeah.
Too much, man.
That's a lot of sandwich.
That's a lot of sandwich. Depends on what sandwich, though.
Depends on the size of the gathering. If it's like
Are you guys
large
saying?
gathering.
You guys
But
saying?
2 bottles of wine doesn't matter. Because 2 bottles of wine is only, 7 glasses
Two
of
bottles
wine.
of wine works if you're just with a small group. A large group of people, you're still going to bring 2 bottles of wine, but you might need to bring, say, 5 feet of sandwich.
Wait, are you guys saying
This is
sandwich
unrelated.
or sandwich? I think you guys say sandwich.
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 Yeah, but you're enunciating. When
Sandwich.
you were just,
You normally say sandwich?
I think you say sandwich.
I didn't notice I have a New York accent until someone told me I had one. Like, I can't say the name Sarah. Sarah? It sounds weird.
Sarah.
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 Sierra. I say sandwich. Sandwich.
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
Sandwich.
I have trouble with that word. Like, I have a friend who can't say monster. He says monkster.
Monster.
He just can't do it. He's like,
Say
I know.
horseradish.
Horseradish.
Radish. Horseradish?
How is that horse? Radish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we done with food?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to get that sandwich ratio thing. I'm still dissatisfied.
Terrible. We
Why
got
are you asking if we're done with food? Like, I was the one that brought up fucking chips and sandwiches and blah, blah.
I'm passing the blame.
On to me.
Yeah.
What do you guys do when I'm not here?
This.
Just blame an empty chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Didn't Clint Eastwood do that?
Most people thought you were here the last couple episodes because we just kept
Talking about the Sixers, I thought I was asleep.
just talking shit about the empty chair. So the finals are going on. We could talk about that, or we could talk about, I don't know, something else. Do we want to talk about the sport of basketball, or should we talk about more current events of the day?
I'd like to talk basketball, and then if you want to, digress or regress.
That's a
into-
perfectly reasonable course of action here. So the finals are going on,
There we go.
and they're between the Toronto Raptors, who one of the cookies predicted to win it all,
Against the Warriors.
and they are against the Warriors, who one of the cookies predicted would lose in the finals to the Toronto Raptors.
Yes.
And they played game 1 last night. And before we get into the game itself and all the legacies at play, blah, blah, blah.
You talk about my legacy? As
and-
Nostradamus.
And your
Gestradamus.
Nostradamus.
legacy.
Educated Gestradamus. Thank you very much.
The Raptors are now up 1-0, and they won their first game at home because they had a better record and have home court advantage. And they're not necessarily the underdog that we thought they would be going into the finals.
They were favored in Vegas by 1.5 last night in game 1. 538, who I like quite a bit, had them at a 55% chance with a caveat. They ran their model, and Nate Silver was like, this is taking injuries into account. So he kind of personally would hedge towards the Warriors, but the model presents 55% in favor of the Raptors, which is pretty awesome.
This Toronto team is really good, and that's not a take. They just are.
Healthy?
Like
Gasol?
They are a really good team. They had the second best record in basketball. That was only 2 games behind the Bucks, who had the best record in basketball, who they just beat. They knocked out Philly. Those are good teams that they beat to get here. Their offense, their defense, their performance post-deadline, where they picked up Marc Gasol and sacrificed some of their depth in the process, they were even better than they were for their overall season numbers.
That was amazing, by the way, that they sacrificed depth, but they're still pretty goddamn deep. Especially with Anunoby. OG. Especially with OG riding pine.
And there's rumors he's healthy enough to play maybe in this series.
They are extremely good, and in game 1, they did not win handily, but it wasn't a game that came down to like the final possession. They had a decent amount of control late, but they also had some good bounces that kept Golden State at bay. Really like that horn that just keeps incessantly beating in the background, bleeping.
New York, baby. I said baby twice on this pod already. Keeping the streak alive.
What is it now, 3 months of Kuo saying baby on a pod?
I try to say baby once a pod.
But anyway, last night's game. Jordan, what's your takeaway? You predicted the Raptors were going to win. They are now up 1-0. What did you see?
Well, I predicted they were going to win. This is well before they had Marc Gasol, who is sick. I love Marc Gasol. I love watching him play. I can't really believe that a team...
Ex-Laker legend, Marc Gasol.
I was pretty shocked that they were able to pick him up at the deadline, considering the record that they already had. To add a player of that caliber to a team that was already so good was...
It was a very tender acquisition. Like, everyone in the NBA supported that, I thought. For everybody involved. Even Mike Conley was like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
Go be on a good team.
And also because, you know, the talent disparity with the Golden State Warriors, people are like, you know what? Yeah, pick up Mark. Mark, you go and beat those bastards down. Huh?
What?
What?
Yeah.
And I saw some really hilarious shit today with stuff today with people being like, "Oh, Warriors shock defeat at the hands of the Raptors." In
Wait,
game
who
one.
said that? Who said that?
I saw it in quite a few. I mean, it's attention-grabbing headline garbage, but it was like, "What are you talking about? They're meant to lose this game.
Don't try to lure in Jordan with your clickbait.
They're on the road.
Jordan's
against, like you
untrollable.
said, a team with the second best record, and like Kawhi had a good game, but not a great game.
He's hurt, right?
I think he's just generally banged up. I don't know if it's a specific injury, if it's still the quad, but he just seems to be...
He was moving gingerly. I don't know if it's his quad or his hip or what it is, but he didn't have the kind of explosiveness that he had in earlier playoff rounds. And I don't know if it's because of the injury he suffered against the Bucks, but I would suspect that was the case.
He doesn't look right.
No, he was not able to really get enough push to even get by like Kevin Looney. Like, he was having trouble beating anyone off the dribble and kind of had to resort to just making shots, drawing fouls, and
There was a couple of broken plays where he kind of picked up the ball and tried to lay it in, where I was like, oh, he normally like left hand yams that on people. So
Does he want to be the next Robin or not?
that could be it. He just doesn't want it enough.
It's like Siakam. Well, they call him the Batman, so it would make Kawhi the Robin, right?
Is Kawhi Siakam's Robin?
I mean, Siakam, what was 14 for 17 last night?
that's not gonna
Stats,
happen. That's
baby.
probably not going to happen again. Like
Lowry, the Alfred.
Marc Gasol, one of like Commissioner Gordon's lackeys.
what happens when Fred VanVleet starts playing like Fred VanVleet again?
FVV.
He's been a little sporadic.
Yeah, he had a good game last night.
I mean, he's played well the last 5 games.
And
Like,
he
all
was,
their
he was
last
abysmal against the Sixers. I mean, I don't think he
Abysmal.
made a shot.
He's just channeling that Jeremy Lin energy from the bench. I mean, the real MVP of this playoffs would be Jeremy Lin, who brings that locker room culture.
Welcome to the Linner Circle.
Thank you.
The Max Kellerman, your favorite,
I like
said
Max
a couple days ago that Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the series, and then the next 4 best players were on the Warriors. Meaning,
Yeah, they've been saying that.
meaning
Stephen A. also said that.
Steph, Clay, Dre, and Iggy. No, that's just not true. Marc Gasol's better than
arguable.
Iguodala.
It's not even close to
Siakam's
being
better
true.
than Iguodala. Like, it's ridiculous.
Siakam is significantly better than Clay. I'm sorry.
Well, Siakam in the playoffs has been up and down. He's trending up and at the right time, but he's had a really confusing.
I know
run.
it's easy to say that he's better than Clay after he just had like the best game of his career in the finals, but I actually would take him better. I think he's a better defender.
Yeah, but you hate. Why do you hate Clay?
Because Clay's not good. He's Redick with a goatee.
Yeah, but-
he's the most overrated defender. Can't
Tell me
dribble.
why though. You always say that, but you never
'Cause he's
say
not
why.
good.
But you okay?
Wait, that's
but why?
Wait, what? Why do I say he's not good?
Yeah, just give me an example.
Wait, I don't. What do you want me to say here?
You don't think he's a good defender?
Is he a poor on-ball guy? Does he get switched up wrong? Does he follow the wrong screener? Like, what are you talking about?
Does he score too many points?
No,
Is
I
he
think
too good at locking down C.J. Batman McConnell?
I think he's a. I think
McConnell.
he's a glorified unitasker. He's
But
not even an efficient scorer. He doesn't get to the line. He can't run pick and rolls. He's
that's
not
offensive stuff. But you said he's a poor defender. I just want to know why he's a
doesn't
poor
protect
defender.
the rim, doesn't get steals. He's a decent on-ball defender who always. Those are the guys like Avery Bradley who always get overrated because they're decent on the ball. Clay's not a great help side defender. He's okay, I guess, against the dudes in the post.
I think he's excellent at all those things, but not to beat a dead horse, Jordan. We went through this last week, Ben. But like the steals and the blocks, the rim protection, and the wing defense that show up in advanced stats or just regular stats, he doesn't accrue. Like he's not that type of defender.
Yeah, he's the type of defender that forces somebody into a pass that somebody else picks off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
don't-
Clay fan. I don't think he should be a max player at all, like Jordan Bell. But I think he
Jordan 2 points in 15 minutes, Bell.
I love him. So I don't think Clay is overrated because no one really talks about Clay. But you
I mean,
can't.
he was all NBA defense, and I'm like, that's a farce.
I don't think so.
He's among the top 15 defenders
watching
in the
the-
league.
just
Like,
watching
get the
these-
fuck out of here, Kuo. Top 15 in the league.
Well, if you had to pick guards, because like we talked about last time, the categorization kind of eliminates a lot of good
He's not
players.
close to as good a defender as like Shaquille Harrison, like a just defensive
disagree.
specialist guy.
Shaquille Harrison.
I want to. This anger reminds me of your anger towards the lottery and the draft. How do these victims get chosen by you? Why is it Clay?
Because he's criminally overrated across the board at everything.
Do you think he's the most overrated player in the league?
Yes.
Who? Clay Thompson?
Who are you talking about? 5 championships?
He's a great shooter, but he's not even like that efficient. He's not some crazy efficient dude. He's like league average efficiency. He's just a mediocre player who is an awesome spot up shooter.
He has more trouble with Durant than a lot of other players getting his looks.
He
But-
shot more this year than he did last year and the year before.
But those aren't the looks he wants, right? And he's talked about this being like, oh yeah, I can't really find my spots with the best fucking player on our team controlling the ball, right?
Just had it with this Clay hype.
Clearly.
Anyway, he was a no-show in Game 1. Didn't want it enough. Didn't show up in the playoffs
Well, I mean, that's-
as usual.
That's
They
the,
needed
that's
Jeremy
the
Lin
other
on their
thing. Like,
team.
anybody who thinks that this game is indicative of how the rest of the series is going to go is tripping, man. The Warriors could come out next game and like punch them right in the mouth.
Disagree. I think this game was totally indicative of how this series, is going to go until Kevin Durant gets back.
Yeah,
think-
I don't want to talk about Durant because they'll spoil
It's
the
so
whole
unfun.
thing. Yeah,
it's
it
so
spoils the whole
unfun.
thing.
So let's pretend he's not coming back.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't done any basketball activities since he messed up his quad, so chances are he's not coming back.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. Also, speaking of quads, I love the NBA. Even though I said that it was boring and stuff at the beginning of the season, it got really
Valid
good.
point, valid
It
point.
got really good. Good job, NBA, and all people associated with that, like the players and the coaches. And
A lot of people credit those early words of criticism with them turning it around.
yeah, I know. And somebody was like, Adam Silver listens to Cookies all the time, and was like, these motherfuckers have to get their shit together.
These mother fathers know what's
Yes,
up.
fuck. I mean, gosh.
Good gracious.
Good gracious.
Wow.
So the NBA, ratings hounds that they are, decided to give us 2 days off in between. So the game was going to be on Sunday rather than Friday and Saturday night, where people are out, buying $60 bags of Coke, or not.
With a friend.
With a
Or
friend.
$1 growlers of
Kombucha?
beer.
Shareable
beer.
Kombucha's free if you know what you're doing.
So really, this game
In your
should
living
be,
room.
Jordan's been homebrewing kombucha since he announced that he was going to do it, I'm sure.
you?
Right?
That's what got me sick.
Kombucha order.
I poisoned myself in my booch
Oh,
factory.
this is stinky tofu.
Yeah.
This is tofu.
So Kawhi gets that extra day if he was a little bit. I mean, he had 4 or 5 days before the beginning of the finals, but that extra day of rest is huge for the Raptors and Mr. Leonard.
Yeah, and it's so funny going into this series because the Warriors have been off for so long. So you heard both kind of like takes, right? It's like, oh, they haven't been in competitive basketball for long. They're going to be rusty. And then the other take is like, oh, now they're all healthy. We said this last week. 5 minutes into the game, we know exactly how that played. That just like goes away. Being like, oh, in transition they can stop Dre, and unless Clay and Steph go off, like we can't really count on Livingston or the depth of Golden State to hold them around and wait for Steph to start hitting shots.
Yeah.
Well, so Jordan said that he doesn't think the rest of the series will go like game one. Like, why do you think that?
I didn't say it wouldn't. I just like it's.
You said they'd be tripping if I can rewind the tape.
Yeah, no, I think
They'd be tripping.
Yeah, I mean because
Why?
it's the Golden State Warriors. They're an incredible team. You saw what they did to the Rockets. You saw what they did to.
Disagree.
Show me Jeremy Lin on their bench, and I'll show you.
Okay, so the problem is they're not deep. They're like 4, 5 men deep. Boogie's a problem. Like giving him minutes out of like to honor his finals. What's it called? Ambition is a mistake.
Finals fantasy camp for Boogie.
Yeah.
I'll pay you some.
Guys,
yeah,
I'm having
I'll
a
show
brain
up.
ambition.
I'll come over. You let me be in the finals a little bit. And I'll kind of like the 47-year-old dude who goes get to
That's
play
exactly
with like
what happened.
Mickey Mantle and like
Yeah.
the Yankees like Clearwater spring training camp.
Yo, Iggy being hurt is a big deal.
Huge.
So this
and
is
he
why-
had 9 days off, but they don't have any other wings.
So this is why I'm kind of just contesting the idea that this series will be different, because we're not talking about KD. Is that this Golden State Warriors team that we're watching is not the same one that destroyed people with 73 wins a couple years ago, because they don't have firepower. This is not a scary team. I really believe Philly would have washed them without KD. I think Boston would have washed them, or at least beaten them. I think Milwaukee, I think Toronto. I don't think this Golden State team is that great. I think they're good. They are good enough to perhaps pull this out because they have some really talented guys. I just don't look at this team without KD and say, this is a scary squad that makes a lot of sense in 2019, because oddly enough, they don't have shooting.
I mean,
It's
that's
fucking bizarre to
It's-
watch the Golden State Warriors and say, this team doesn't have the shooting to run an offense that's going to be successful a lot of the time.
Never should have got rid of Swaggy P, huh?
It's true, though. You
Swaggy P would have helped.
You look at these lineups, you're like, Dre can't really shoot. Iggy can't really shoot. Looney can't shoot. And then they're bringing
Jordan Bell,
Jordan
MVP.
Bell, a max player, but he can't shoot. They're running lineups
Smart.
with 2.5 shooters.
Ethical.
And that's just not good enough against a team that is tough defensively. Curry is an incredible individual talent, and he gets hot as he did and almost kept them in that game by drawing fouls and getting to the line and just generating offense. But they're able to close out really hard on him. They're able to swarm those guys like Clay when they come off the screens. It's hard to win without shooting, and Golden State without Durant doesn't have like an overwhelming amount of spacers.
I mean, we went through all these like permutations last cookies, and without rehashing them, it's like, okay, if we pull back and we're just like, I agree. I think we saw enough from game one where it might be more competitive than I thought, which is a gift. Like, I'm very excited for that. But it's like we're hedging our expectations, and this is bias. This is carb on carb stuff. But like, if the Warriors win in 6 games, we'll be like, well, they're just the Warriors. Of course they won. If they lose in 7 games, we'd be like, they had errors. They made errors in their construction, and it came to, it played itself out. As soon as there was a small injury and they went up against a great defense. So like, we're just like hedging kind of our expectations, right?
Of course. But we do have the benefit of watching game one. And to me, those were issues that were going to be a problem for Golden State. The lack of shooting, the lack of depth, only having Curry and Clay as guys who are capable of having really big games. Dre is awesome, but he's not a guy who's going to score a lot of points. And without KD, who gives you 30 points a game, you're like, well, where are the points going to come from? Is it coming from Livingston and Iguodala, who are both 3 years older than the last time they were in the finals and banged up? Is it going to come from McKinnon? Maybe it comes from Boogie. I just feel like the math is tricky without KD against a good defensive team because Portland sucked.
And
that was a bum-ass squad.
And this is where I kind of annoyingly always rein in and accuse you of confirmation bias, right? Because when they signed Boogie in the offseason, you were like, oh, God, this is annoying. They're just going to win. They're going to march to the finals and win. They ruined basketball.
But Boogie was good. He's just hurt.
That's what I mean. So you see that it doesn't play out, and you're like, oh, they made a mistake in their construction.
Well,
it's just bad luck.
No, I'm not saying they made an error. I'm saying they got unlucky. KD's not playing. Right. Boogie got knocked up. Iguodala's hurt.
Knocked out.
Knocked up. Iguodala's out, or at least hurt, and Livingston's hurt.
Livingston just looks old. He turned old.
Yeah, that's that. But that was my
turn old?
That was always my concern about Golden State, is they are just a very different team.
See,
they don't have Harrison Barnes. They're older. They don't have West. They don't have a young Bogut. They're a different
Look at the
team.
Harrison Barnes fan logging on.
I don't like Harrison Barnes, but they could use him right now.
Well, of course, they could use good players right now because they lost game one. But if they win, I don't think they're going to win 4 in a row. But if they do, I think the take will be like, well, yeah, they're the Warriors.
Yes.
Sure, but also not my concern, but my observation here is that the Raptors came out, and in the absence of Kawhiing as he has been over the last 10 games, dude stepped up. Siakam had a career game in his first finals appearance. Marc Gasol played brilliantly in his first finals appearance. Do you expect them to maintain that clip for 7 games?
Also, Lowry
Lowry was too thick.
Turd.
And they're good players.
Also known as a Lowry.
I was telling Kuo, I went through his game log, and he has actually been pretty consistent, but there are those just remarkable turds where you're like, oh, you went 0 of 7 and scored 0 against Orlando, and then
if you got a caboose like that, it's going to produce a remarkably large turd.
A sizable dropping.
How was that dropping? Oh, sizable.
That wagon dropped a sizable.
It's a Saint Bernard of a turd.
And my response to that
You ever
would
seen
be,
a Saint Bernard take a shit? It's disgusting.
is it like
It's like a draft horse.
so?
Unbelievable.
So when you told me that Lowry game log, I was just like, maybe that's a player he's turned into. Players age before our eyes, overnight kind of, and especially against the best defenders in the league, right? So in the
he's
playoffs,
always had this weird playoff thing where it's probably just a sample size issue. No pun intended. Sorry, I really tried to get us off the.
You got to sit on the bench, maybe a stool in the corner.
I know. I went right back to stool sample size. But anyhow, I do think Lowry is someone who is known as a choker and being a poor postseason player. But I don't think he's
No,
is.
he's
I think he's
awesome.
fine. I think he's a really good player. And game one, to what we're saying, is Siakam is probably not going to shoot 92% from the floor, but you'll probably get a better Kawhi. You'll probably get a better Lowry.
The box score tells a story that Golden State's in trouble because Siakam going off 14 out of 17, hitting threes, and the shooting of Golden State. If things actually balance in the middle of all these trends, Toronto has a chance, man, because Lowry had such a bad game, and Kawhi, you would assume, is going to have a monster game at some point. And Curry will have one. They're just trading. They're going to have to trade punches, and whoever gets to 4 first is just going to win.
I mean, look, Golden
Is that accurate?
But it's we make it too complicated.
Should we double check that?
Well,
But we
who wants to win 4 first?
Yes.
Right. It's I think we complicate things as there's nothing else to say. It's just like, well, if this is like a coin toss, like it's going to come down to 7. I'm like, or the first 1 to 4, right? Like, if there was a sweep by Toronto and they were all like kind of the rest of the games were close, we kind of misconstrue this whole thing.
I'm going to go out on a limb, as I'm known to do sometimes.
Keep
and
it clean.
Often,
Keep it clean.
Often the branch breaks and I fall and plummet to my doom. Say the Raptors go up 2-0. Say it's
Which is likely.
Likely. Say they get one in Golden State.
Oh, that's big trouble.
Say
'Cause game 3 is
Durant
game 7.
could potentially come back. Would he not come back in the likelihood that the Raptors will win because he wants to be able to join Kawhi on the Los Angeles Clippers next year?
Tight.
And if he doesn't play, then he's not joining somebody who beat him.
Yeah, in a way, this is a Western Conference Finals preview for next year.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Maybe
of course.
Durant sits out because he
And-
doesn't want to be like snacked again.
And he's a grouchy dude.
There's also other sort of moving parts in this, though, right? Where if they lose without him, then it is validated that they needed him to win, in which case he can just re-sign with Golden State, stay there, and then be their big star and the savior of the dynasty, in which they will have won with him and lost without him. He could also, to Jordan's point, try to come back if they're down 0-3 and be like, this is it. This is the time when I just supersede this entire franchise, lead him to a chip, and then bounce. Like, does he take that risk? If it's a 3-0 Toronto lead, and he's like, okay, I'm going to come back, and we're going to win 4 in a row, and it's me just destroying the entire Golden State legacy without me.
I was frustrated last night because I met somebody who loved basketball, and it was a quick interaction, and as he was walking away, he's like, "KD to the Knicks?" And I was like, I don't want to have a 20-minute conversation, but I also don't want to lie, so I'm just like, I don't care about him coming to New York. Like, sure, but I don't want him necessarily.
Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
No.
But you know what I mean? But this is a complicated conversation with someone who's just like, why wouldn't you want Kevin Durant? I'm like,
Chris
I don't.
Paul. That's all you have to say to them. Chris Paul.
He should go to win somewhere. He should go to like the Clippers. Like we have no use for Kevin Durant, man. And he's 30, and he should either re-sign with Golden State and make things like muck up that whole thing for the Splash Bros, or he should team up with Kawhi in Los Angeles.
Going back to pretending that KD is not in this series.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about KD.
That's what I'm saying. Let's just go back to the series because all of a sudden we're talking about KD, which is
Always fun, but
always fun.
A different pod.
but
Kenny Dixon, my favorite.
KD Lang. But the series
You
we
look a
have
little
so
like
far,
her these days.
I'm shooting for that look.
Yeah, which means I also look a little like her.
But she still looks good. You guys look good.
Hi, thank you.
Oh.
Appreciate that quote. And you look great yourself.
Thank you. I was fishing.
But I do think we saw a preview for how the other games will play out. And that doesn't mean that Steph Curry or Clay or Dre can't just sort of will them to victory in like the cliched speak. By that I mean just play well enough that the game goes their way. Because there were a few moments in the fourth quarter late when it was like an 8-point game and there was a
Couple
few
threes,
plays
it's gonna
with
be
like
weird.
some really lucky bounces. There was one that I forget if it was Van Vliet or someone made a three that just like ricocheted off a bunch of things and ricocheted and went in. There was a few calls where the Raptors
Washington.
got bailed out of possessions that had really nothing going on. Where, yeah, that game could have gone a different direction and Golden State could have pulled out a win.
Yeah, I'm
So when I'm
damaged.
drawing these
Yeah.
conclusions saying, I think this is real, I think Toronto is going to win the series with these two current teams. I think they are better. I think they present a lot of problems. I concede that game could have totally gone a different direction, and really any of them can.
Yeah, and that's the joy of this. No,
Yeah, I'm just saying I have nothing really. I don't even have a take. I'm like, yeah, it's Golden State. They have Steph Curry.
So what are you coming for? The Magic Johnson takes like two teams are playing for best of 7 series. First of all, will win, and each game could go either way.
I'm not even like hedging my opinion. It's more like,
But-
I'm not an idiot.
but picking teams with nothing.
It's like,
Yeah. Picking teams with nothing at stake is like useless, right? Because it's less about the teams and more about just someone arguing in the moment, being like, well, no one thinks the Raptors are going to win except me, and everyone's like, oh, the Raptors are picked to win, like, but Golden State, it's just like it's like psychiatrists can just like play sports fans like fiddles, and but this is where my nihilism gets complicated, right? Because I look at this thing and I'm just like, coin flips either way, who cares? Like last week, Jordan, we were like, or 2 episodes ago, we were like, the last 3 teams left are all losers.
Everyone's a loser in the NBA.
Everyone's a loser.
You end up a loser.
Yeah, everyone ends up losing.
That's not true because somebody wins.
But they're still losers. That's
Yeah.
what we're saying. It's a league of losers.
They've lost before. They know what losing is.
They're going to lose again.
Yeah.
Oh, Kuo, you complicated nihilist. You.
But it's not like, but I do care. But it's just like, how much do I care about a game of like roulette? It's just like, ooh, I like when it turns up, always bet on black. Like I love that thing.
One of the movie's best, the cinema's greatest line.
Wesley Snipes.
There we go.
Classic moment.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? So it's I am the most annoying person to talk to about basketball in a bar. I just
Does
take
Michael
me out of there.
Rappaport ever say, always bet on red? Are there any gingers who've used that in their own way?
Probably Scalabrini.
Or maybe even like a communist. Like
Oh.
a socialist is like, always bet on red.
Can you do it in the accent? I know you like accents.
No,
Do your best Ruski.
Здравствуйте, как дела?
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's Russian.
I mean, I thought you just made that word up, but
Хорошо, спасибо.
yeah, I would be convinced if you were in the Americans.
Маленький глазис.
Jordan, do you tone down your Aussie-ness, or are you just, you've lived in America for a long time?
Yeah.
Do you consciously tone it down? It's like, if you went to Australia and we went with you, would you kind of like...
disgusting.
Really?
I've seen you talk to Australians and it comes rearing back.
Rearing
I
back.
love
I mean,
it.
I lived there for like 24 years. So
Sure.
I did not intentionally lost my accent. People
Let me
think I'm
get some
South
cheese
African.
twisties, mate.
Oh.
Burger rings.
Eat these off my fingers.
Keep going. I'm enjoying this.
Real cod swallop.
You always resort
You
to
wanker.
cod swallow. You always go back to cod swallow, man.
Don't come to raw prawn with me, Ben.
But it's true. I've seen it.
I
All
love
of a
it.
sudden, you're like, where's the Jordan that we know and love? This is just an Aussie.
Bogan
Fuck with.
piece of shit.
Is it-
Yeah, Bogan fuck
Is
with.
it a Berenstain Bears situation?
What's a Bernstein?
Do we remember Jordan as an American-speaking guy, but actuality, well, we think it's Berenstein because it's like, yeah, we've read this thing all this years in our childhood, and then when Jordan gets with his mates, we're just like, oh, it's Berenstain?
Bernstein. I don't know.
Are you Ben Simmonsing it? Have you slowly been erasing the
No, I mean,
evidence of your
I
Aussie-ness?
thought I talked pretty Australian until about 10 years ago, and then the different things came in, like the R's, years, beers, things like that, instead of the But
Some commenter was like, I love the British guy. I'm just like, okay.
people think I'm South African now because it's a little bit all over the place. But I remember when I first moved here, there was a guy, his name was Max, he was an owner of Lit Lounge. And he was Australian in New Zealand. And I was like, what
remember
the
Max.
fuck is wrong with this dude's accent, man? It was all over the place. And he'd been here 10 years. So I think that's the point where, especially since I never go back to Australia and I try and avoid Australians like the plague. So I'm not like down at,
Are you doing a band with an Australian?
yeah. But I'm not,
Yeah, but I try to avoid that.
We're all losers.
I'm not down at like tuck shop watching the footy. You know what I mean? It gives a fuck.
Over at Sunburnt Cow, having yourself a Foster's.
Yeah. That, like, oh, what are you doing for Australia Day?
Meat pies.
Nothing. I like meat pies. I'm not that bad.
meat pies are
I don't hate Australia that much. What's wrong with you?
That's the motherland.
You've crossed the line.
But yeah, but one thing like I was very conscious of when I moved here was that I used the American words for things. Like, it's the trunk of a car, not the boot of a car. It's the
The wagon, if you will.
It's the sidewalk, not the footpath. And I remember
He's
some
got
other
the junk in the boot. Of
Yeah,
the car.
some
Kyle Lowry, just a thick boot.
no, some like Aussie
That makes
dickhead
sense.
lit me up one time because I was like, I'm gonna walk on the sidewalk. Somebody's like, it's called a footpath. I was like, no, it's not. It's born and raised in New York City. It's a sidewalk.
If someone-
so I've always used American vernacular and American words for things, and maybe that's why.
Are there any Australian terms for basketball stuff that we are not privy to?
Yeah, when it goes around the when you shoot it and it goes
Yeah.
around the
The rim?
basketball, it's called a dunny roll.
Say that again. Dunny roll.
Dunny roll.
In
which
Australia, it goes the other way around. Though.
That's right.
Oh wow!
Wait,
yeah.
who's
You've
Donnie?
seen The Simpsons, Ben? That's pretty
have.
cool.
Who's Donny?
Dunny, Dunny, which is another name for a toilet. So it's a toilet roll.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
the
opposite way.
Dun language.
Yeah. Black Moon. Dunny.
So probably a dunny roll. There's probably like other terms from different sports, like shepherd or something from football, which would be a moving screen.
Are you excited about R.J. Hampton foregoing college in America to go play in Australia?
I don't know who RJ Hampton is, but
Top-
he sounds cool.
Top 10 recruit. He's going to be good.
Of what? Football?
Oh, no, basketball. He's a high school player. So he was going to go to the NCAA, not Duke. And he decided to make some money in Australia. So he's going to spend a year in Australia with his family in the Australian League. And they're going to, like, pay him money. And it's like, he's doing the Brandon Jennings.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm in favor of more guys taking that route because at present, trying to do that in the G League is not a livable wage.
It's not set up yet, but it will get
But I
there.
bet
That's
I
the
bet
goal eventually.
my guess is that the Australian Institute of Sport, devilish bastards that they are
Dunny
paying
rollers.
him extra.
They are.
Paying him extra to have a child with an
Oh,
Australian woman during that year,
What?
so then that child can then play for Australia. Because it would be born in Australia. It's part of the thing, that child.
I respect that. That's a good plan.
Good plan.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yo, the Australian team is kind of good.
Yeah. That's what happened. Jonah Bolden, son of Bruce, NBL player. Ben Simmons, son of, what's his name? Let's call him Ralph.
Kyrie Irving, born in Australia.
Yes.
Aaron Baines,
So I think this is the play.
son of Bane from the Batman movie.
Can we find out, Ben? You're the investigative journalist in our midst. Can you find out if this is indeed a real plan that the Australian Institute of Sport is looking at?
I will look into this. Moving along from more Australian content,
Hey, you guys brought it up.
I agree.
No, it was great. It was
you've been
fantastic.
victimized by our interest in Australians.
Hey, here's an interesting thing. Basketball related. And Australian related, but not actually related. You know kangaroos? Not Australian. The basketball shoes Spud Webb used to wear?
Oh, I thought you meant the animal. I was like,
No.
what?
Not
Oh,
Australian.
the Roos, the sneakers with the little pocket.
Yeah, with the stash pocket. They're not. I always thought that they were Australian. They're not.
Yeah, I thought.
I would have assumed they were as well. Kind of like Uggs.
Yeah, guess what?
Uggs or Coogee.
Newsflash: Swedish fish are Canadian.
Coogee sweaters, Australian.
Hoka One One is not from Hawaii, from California.
No, actually, but French.
You know what? I was just thinking back. The Lit Lounge anecdote. If someone got in a time machine and went back to pre-cookies, they might have often found all three of us in that same room.
It's very
Jordan
true.
behind the bar, you DJing, me drinking a beer.
Yeah.
There you go. It was
Talking
Good
about
night like
basketball,
Batman.
but less drunk than we are now.
an early cookies pod, if you will.
That era was crazy. It was the LeBron James, Dirk Nowitzki era. I'm trying to think because I would try to.
When everybody loved Dirk, right?
Everyone loved
Everyone.
Dirk. The whole Lit Lounge was just like Dirk.
The
Dirk.
much despised,
Except you in the corner
the
on your
despised
stool.
and disrespected Dirk, who had to traffic in LeBron Jamesian hatred in order to become a beloved basketball.
I believe my first finals watching in America. Now that we're in finals content mode, yeah,
Absolutely.
was
Yep.
It was the finals.
was
cookies.
was Heat Mavs. When Dwayne
Dirk
Wade
lost?
went off, and I had a pair of Black Cat Air Jordans that I would take to bars. I wouldn't wear them there. I would take to bars like I was in the
Like
game.
PJ Tucker? Like hold them, bring them into bars like
yeah,
in
Would
your
you
hand?
you'd switch into them?
I would switch into them in the bar. I wouldn't wear them outside on the pavement.
Game time.
The pavement, also known as the sidewalk, sometimes known as a footpath if you're an idiot.
Yeah, like it was like going to the gym. You have your soccer slides, and then you get changed into your cool Kobe's or something. They were my lucky Jordans, and I would wear them, but I wasn't supporting anyone.
I absolutely subscribe to that, though. If you're going to play pickup ball, you
Oh, he had to do it.
no, you wear
Does
outside,
someone here touch net?
outside and inside for sure. You don't
Yeah.
want to show up to the gym and wearing on the street what you're going to wear in the gym because it also gets.
But would you do that just to watch basketball in a bar?
No, that's insane.
I bring a change of clothes to some restaurants, like Korean barbecue. I bring a change of like shirt because you end up smelling like smoky meat for hours. When we used to hang out at said bar, I used to bring a change of clothes because that bar was so smelly. It would just infect everything.
Incredibly smoky bar.
It was
So would you
gross.
change your clothes after you eat, or would you change into eating clothes?
I would go
Be like,
there.
like eating pajamas.
I would go there in my eating smock, eat in the smock, and then do one change out of it.
Okay.
And it could be another smock. It wasn't like a
Would
better
you
thing.
wash the smock in between dining experiences, or would you just add to it?
Oh, I would wash it. There wasn't a master smock. That gets better with time.
You're not a smock supremacist.
I don't. I don't let the tofu go stinky.
Other basketball news. The Houston Rockets, after losing to the said Golden State Warriors in the second round, a team that I believe, if they replayed that series
Wins.
with Durant going down, might win 7 out of 10 times, but lost in the time that they did.
This fucking bracket, man.
But it's bracketology. But my overall point here is that you lose a series and changes inevitably have to get made. That's the nature of the beast here. And I do think that the Rockets likely would beat this Golden State Warriors team with an injured Durant on most occasions. They did not, and now it's looking like chaos. We have Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Rockets, allegedly putting the entire team on the trading block. That includes Clint Capella, who went from a great contract and a rising young player to someone who may not be the impact player they hoped. But more importantly, Chris Paul and James Harden.
James Harden's not it. They just put James on the block so that Chris Paul didn't feel that bad about it.
Maybe so.
Well, it's. I think we made a big deal out of it because I think every team should have every player of like. If a team wanted Luka Doncic or Steph Curry, they could have them. It would probably have to be an unreasonable deal and mortgage their future, like a Danny Ainge kind of thing in the trade he lost. But I think.
You're saying just conceptually, everybody is available if the price is right.
And Morey's a conceptual dude. So when he goes out there and he's like, my whole team is available, in theory. Like, of course he's going to try to make his team better because that's what he does. And I think spending that amount of cap space on a center proves to be problematic in the finals, or in the playoffs. But, right, he's just stating a simple economic thing, right? Like, when we got all hot and bothered when the Knicks were for sale. Like, of course, in theory, they're always for sale. You have to say that.
He literally isn't allowed to say that they're not for sale.
Exactly. So Morey just being like, yeah, all GMs will listen to every offer. Of course I'm going to try to make my team better. But yeah, everyone's available.
And part of this is just political, where if you're Boston, you might say, Tatum is not on the market because you want to say publicly to reinforce Tatum's belief that he is secure.
Right.
But of course, Tatum and every player are on the market because there's a price tag that you have to take in a conceptual world. Like if you're the Lakers and you have LeBron James and someone says, we'll give you these guys, you're like, okay, cool, deal.
Yeah.
It's
Everyone
LeBron
can be
James.
had. Right. Totally. And I started daydreaming about the most unattainable player. And that would have to be someone on a rookie scale. It might be Jaren Jackson.
I think right now it would be Doncic.
Doncic, yeah.
Because
I agree.
he's great, he's super young, he's only had 1 year in the league, and they're a team that plans on building around him. So
And he's
not only
cheap because he wasn't the number one pick.
and he's,
It's
and
wild.
he's cheap as shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a player like that. Maybe
Zion.
Zion, yes. He would be up there. Like he's gettable, but it would take Anthony Davis and a ton of stuff, right? There's always a price. Yeah, if Zion was the peak asset, we're talking about trades with him already. So what Morey's saying is pretty simple, and of course we have to. I mean, it's delicious stuff. Like we have to. Like, is he gonna trade James Harden? Is CP3 gonna form a part of the banana boat in Los Angeles. And a lot of things that people were saying was 1-for-1 Harden for LeBron, which I thought was a funny mental daydream, but why would the Rockets ever do that?
Right, because Harden's a guy that you can build an entire system around. He's still fairly young, and we've seen how good they can be with him, and more or less narrowly missed a championship
And he
for the
did-
last 2 years. They were good enough to win a title, maybe in a different environment without the Warriors, maybe if the ball bounces a couple ways. They were in play for a chip the last 2 seasons.
And Morey is like, I mean, we're getting to the point where these analytics are kind of becoming traditional. And Harden shoots free throws and threes, and Morey really covets that stuff. LeBron James doesn't do either of those things that well. And so the whole team is predicated on your alpha getting to the line.
But those two guys have fairly similar efficiency. We're talking over 60% true shooting percentage in either case. Like, they're both incredibly efficient.
Incredibly efficient, but then Morey has to reconstruct his entire roster.
Well, also, as great as LeBron is, at this stage of his career, with his age and mileage, I think you would obviously be concerned about saying, let's build a team around LeBron the same way
And
we
Chris
did
Paul.
around the Rockets, with Harden having that incredible responsibility, because LeBron could do it and has done it, but at his age and with like the wear and tear that he's had, especially this season, you would be opening yourself up to significant downside that you don't have with Harden at this point.
And I was thinking this, and this is kind of an aside, but you know, my favorite basketball cliche is Clyde Frazier being like, certain teams can't handle prosperity, and like the way the Warriors kind of like, oh, we're just gonna add these pieces that we don't necessarily need, like Boogie Cousins, or it's like, oh, you should get another shooter. You should think about that. And like LeBron James kind of like getting older and kind of like being a very prosperous NBA player, and then just being like, yeah, I'm gonna go to LA, and being like, oh, you took yourself out of the conversation.
You know, how did we enjoy a postseason without LeBron?
Oh, immensely. Oh, what do you mean? How? Like,
No, I mean,
how was it possible?
I don't-
Or like how much? Like,
No, I'm
How'd you do it,
how was it
Jordan?
possible? Immensely.
I'm more meant. Did you miss him, or did we forget about him?
I missed him so much.
I kind of did too, and I didn't. The postseason
Miss
was
you, LeBron.
The postseason was not a great one. We had some really memorable games and series, and some game sevens, etc. But I did miss LeBron in the postseason.
I think I would have missed him more had he not been rammed down my throat by ESPN and every news outlet on the planet and the Lakers for 6 months. My LeBron threshold had been breached well before the playoffs were decided, and it was refreshing to not have to hear his, I don't know, like sage pearls.
Yeah, and
LeBron's been a bit of a know-it-all the last year or so, and he's not he is the greatest of all time, but he's not the authority on basketball. He's not the authority on like what's going on in the
Leave
league.
that to cookies, Brown.
we'll tell you,
You know, I
for
mean,
ethical.
I find that he likes to speak for the league at large.
That's what I mean. He's been very prosperous, and he's kind of taken like this weird mantle that he didn't have to. I enjoy his villainy. I think he's been one of the most generous villains we've had in sports. He's never asked to be liked, right? He's just like, yeah, come at me. And I love that. But to your point, he has been overexposed, and I agree with that. But
Which is crazy that like LeBron's been overexposed this past year.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what he wanted in LA, right?
Right. It was like the perfect storm of the biggest personality, the greatest player in a monster media market.
And I wanted to see someone beat him. Like, that was going to be the joy, instead of him, like, fading off into the season.
Yeah, it was a little,
Somebody did, Dell Demps.
but it was anticlimactic. Where in the Eastern Conference, as fun as it was to see these new guys emerge as the faces of that of that conference, and they're exciting. It's Kawhi and Giannis and Embiid and Siakam, these new guys who were stars. It didn't have the natural progression that we've seen kind of historically, where the ebb and flow of talent, where Jordan had to beat the Pistons and then LeBron had to beat the Celtics, and that sort of transition in which the victor is devoured by like the sun. That's just that sort of mythical way of rising to the occasion, that we all kind of want that narrative. And it was like LeBron just left after going to the finals 9 straight seasons. It's like, all right, he's out.
Yeah.
And now someone else is there. No one got to beat LeBron and seize the throne. It was just vacated.
And watching us try to frame Kawhi Leonard as like this nuclear-sized celebrity is really difficult. And we're trying so hard, being like, he actually might be the best player in the NBA. And like, no one wants to think about Kawhi Leonard. Like, he's not as fun. And we had, going back to Jordan's like preseason take, like, this is not the finals. This is not the ideal finals, right? We'll take it because it's awesome basketball and Marc Gasol is the best and there's some thickness on the court and it's fun. But, like, this is not what we wanted, right? Like,
No, we wanted Sixers or something like that, right?
we wanted, yes, exactly. Like, we wanted LeBron to
Sixers
die
or
on
the Bucks, and LeBron being ousted by the next
wanted
generation
Giannis.
and carried out on his shield.
Yes, exactly. We wanted all these things to play out. Instead, we get the Splash Brothers getting edged out by Kawhi Leonard, the Claw. Like, that's not that awesome.
Kind of cool,
I mean, it's very cool. I mean, we love
but
this thing.
it doesn't fit any sort of interesting
Heroic
mythology.
narrative. Yeah.
No, we got the Kawhi New Balance featured in the finals, and not the Giannis Freak One.
Well, one thing that Jason Johnson, an atypical man, a usual Cookies listener, and was texting with me, and he's Fraser approves on Twitter, a funny guy, but he said something along the lines, I'm going to paraphrase, that Kawhi is who we pretend Kobe was. And I'm like, that's pretty true.
funny.
That's pretty true.
Yeah.
Because Kawhi, as this like stone cold killer, clutch shot maker, tenacious defender, is what Kobe's reputation was, but not actually.
I would say
who
that
he was.
that applies to all the 15 players in history better than Kobe. You know, like, it's how we talk about Kobe is how we talk about Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. No, he's not better than Kobe. But, like, you know what I mean. It's
Michael Redd, Glenn Robinson, Jordan's favorite Bucks of all time.
Ray Allen, Sam Cassell.
You know, my favorite thing about this Kawhi season is that he's like a lonely traveler.
I like this.
He's a lonely traveler. He's like walking his own path, and then he sees a woman getting attacked on the side of the road, and so he helps her. And then next thing, she takes him back to her village, which is called Toronto, and there's all these people in dire need, and there's like these horrible warlords, one might call them warriors, about to attack the village. And he comes through, he's this lone Ronin, and he fucks them all up. And then he's like,
See ya,
you
I'm going
later.
to LA.
yeah.
That is a mythical narrative. I'll give you that.
I'm going to keep walking on my path. Also similar storyline to the Michael J. Fox movie Doc Hollywood, where he crashes his Porsche.
I just recently saw that.
Yeah. Crashes his Porsche, helps the town's poorly and sick. Time to move on. Because he's going to New York. Bright lights, big city.
But one thing
Great movie.
And then he's going to get a different car and go.
But one thing that kind of is disappointing a bit about the Kawhi narrative is also that he was part of this storied franchise that won, many championships, has this
He's been MVP in the finals.
incredibly respected coach in Greg Popovich, and he just forced his way out.
Oh.
Like, Kawhi's not a good guy at all. He's just complete mercenary. In sort of the way that Jordan was just describing him. Yes, he's here in Toronto
lone wolf.
helping them win and being a hero, but like, he just said, I want to go, and they sent him there.
Coming up with that receipt has, like, I've been accused of being a hater because I bring that up because, like, he did the most despicable thing of any superstar ever. He quit on, like, a storied franchise
That
because he
had
was
won
angry.
titles because of a sneaker deal.
And they sent him to exile, allegedly, to Toronto. And it ended up working because Masai Ujiri is awesome. But, like,
Someone's going to make a manga cartoon about Kawhi Leonard. That'd be sick. He's got the good hair for it, too.
Good name for it.
the Claw.
This is all coming up roses for Kawhi.
Wait, are the Raptors rebuilding right now?
Wait, isn't it also weird that Kawhi's logo is very similar to the Raptors logo?
The claw
claw
and then
and a
the
ball.
claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ujiri has done an incredible job here, though, because
Shout out
even
to
if he
Ujiri.
leaves and you lose in this finals, Great trade. Great trade, regardless.
Okay.
You got Kawhi for DeRozan, basically. That's
So-
insane.
And you got a finals appearance,
Yeah.
and you got like a lot more season ticket holders and fans.
Whatever happens, now you're just opening up a bunch of money and you can bring someone else in. And Siakam can kind of grow into a role as your next sort of superstar in line. Like, what a job he did.
And I 100% agree, but the framing, if he didn't get to the finals, would be like, you mortgaged our future for a mercenary, right? It's only because they got to the finals.
Oh, I'm saying it worked out well.
Yes.
The trade
things
always
worked out.
made sense because DeRozan's not that great. And
It
you got
landed on the roulette spot that he picked. But if it didn't, he still did a great job. But
Agreed.
we
I
would
mean, I
frame
think
it
if they
different.
didn't make the playoffs, it would be bad. But I think that
Still a great
I don't think
chance.
they had to make the finals for this to be a good trade. I think everyone was like, yeah.
You don't think fans would be like,
No, I don't.
No, I think perception would have changed if they had lost to Philly in
And he
that
walks.
close game 7, and Sixers make 2 foul shots over the course of the game and win that. People would have been like, "Wait, you traded DeRozan and Kawhi is going to leave?"
you couldn't even get there?
I'm saying this is a process versus results
Yeah,
thing.
I
Well,
don't-
the process was right, the results are now right as well, but he probably would have gotten flamed.
And that's the whole like winning, losing, nihilism thing, right? Because you hear he did everything right, and the results are just the results. But
And they look good for him, but I don't think that people would have been that charitable towards him
No.
had they lost in the second round.
I mean, imagine if he wins versus losing. Like that narrative is like wildly different.
Has anyone ever won Finals MVP on 2 different teams?
I'm sure.
Maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
LeBron.
Patrick Ewing. Let me go
Yeah.
through the list.
I mean,
Jordan Bell.
LeBron did.
Yeah.
Jordan Bell did.
Jordan Bell did. Jeremy Lin did.
Oh, all right. Speaking of Berenstain Bears, we went to the sports bar called
Stein.
Stein.
Boys Don't Cry. It's in the Lower East Side.
Don't blow up our spot, man. Ugh,
Really weird name for a sports bar.
Anyway,
they
they've
have a
got
Warriors collage on the wall.
there's a Warriors collage, and one of them is
Blowing up our spot.
John Starks, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember him on the Warriors.
Yeah.
And everyone around me, were a bunch of Knicks fans, like, I don't remember that. Wait, that happened? No way. And I had to go on Basketball Reference
He had one testicle at that time.
and looked it up, and I was like, he did play on Golden State. I feel like Knicks fans, for the most part, have collectively forgotten or pretended that never happened.
I remember he had one testicle removed after sleeping in the wrong spot. And I think
It's a terrifying proposition.
he slept wrong on it. And they're like, oh, he's going through minor surgery. I'm like, what? So
That's
he's
like when you sit down on a bike and you're not wearing undies. You sometimes crush your nuts.
those city bikes,
Ugh.
filthy.
That's why I always sleep in a jockstrap.
But remember, Starks was traded to the Bulls and refused to report and nullified the trade. Starks was a real one, but like going to Golden State was fine.
I just did not remember that happening. In my mind, he was once a Knick, always a Knick.
Yeah, people think he won that championship after that dunk, being like, oh, remember that dunk on those 3 Bulls? I'm like, that was a great championship.
When he made a bunch of threes and they won in the big game.
He did everything right. Keep on shooting. Shoot or shoot.
But the last thing about the Rockets here is I want the Rockets in chaos mode because Daryl Morey is inventive and good at his job. So him being content is not fun.
Yeah.
Daryl Morey having to rebuild this in a creative way is far more exciting from a fan perspective. I will say this. We are not people who traffic in a lot of insider information. We are discussers of the news. We are not insiders.
We don't snitch on our sources unless we snitch big time.
Unless we just snitch relentlessly.
unless we're
and-
defined by snitching.
and in monumental snitchery ways.
Wait, have you guys seen, just as a quick aside, because it's snitchery, have you guys seen the signs on the subway that say, if you suspect someone in your apartment building is using their apartment as a hotel, call 311? Airbnb, they're calling for Airbnb snitching in New York.
Did you know you can also snitch on trucks that are idling and you can make money? There was guys who were doing that, and it's like if it's
Like
not
beer trucks that are trying to make deliveries?
if
and
it's
you
not
just, like,
refrigeration trucks is different.
Donovan
okay.
Mitchell would clean up in New
But
York.
there's this
man.
guy, I think he's in like the West Village. I forget exactly. He was an older dude, and he goes around, and there's a way to submit it on the form. And if cars or trucks are idling, you take video of it for as long as possible, and you get the license plate and you get any information on the side. And
That'll
then
get you some hands.
you submit it to the city, and then they fine those guys. And if it's repeat fines, you get something like up to 30% of it. So this guy had made like $8,000 in the course of like a month or so just taking videos of idling cars, because as an environmental issue, they don't want trucks sitting around the city burning gas in one place.
Was he visited by a bunch of guys in pinstripe suits late at night?
I would imagine so. They like stomp on his Tiva-clad toes.
Guys in violin cases.
They pull out, they
Break all of his plates.
slash his camelback so he can't be hydrated throughout his traipses.
Leaving horse heads in his bunk bed.
All right, so yes, no snitching, unless you're Ben. And
With the Rockets, you were talking
Yes.
about insider information.
Okay, right. So a few months ago, one of our few sources,
Shout out to 305.
not blow up any spots here, but we got a tip that
Wait, what kind of tip? Just
just a tip,
a tip.
and they said that
God, and I'm lewd. Jesus.
this friction,
I don't know what you're talking about.
this friction that we're
news.
hearing about now, that was reported that James Harden and Chris Paul had words in the locker room. They don't really get along. We heard about this back in January, where there was the suggestion that James Harden might ask for a trade this offseason, and that he was unhappy that he doesn't have a super team of his own, and that Chris Paul isn't necessarily the long-term partner that he wanted. And they invested in him in a really long contract for a lot of money and many years that more or less guaranteed that the Rockets won't be able to add a KD or a Kawhi or a Jimmy Butler, etc., unless they traded for him.
Hideous.
If he hated him so much, why would he do a whole insurance ad campaign with him as the clown?
True. But I don't know if he hates him. I don't know if he wanted to play with someone else. But I do recall we heard in mid-January that there was a possibility that Harden did not like the current situation. So I'm wondering if this announcement that everyone is on the trading block is because they don't want Harden to make a trade request. They'd rather approach it by being like, hey, we're going to sort this out. Harden, we hear you. Maybe he came to them and was like, look, I'm not happy with the way this is. And they said, we're going to explore this versus don't go public, don't do an Anthony Davis and fuck up our leverage. I'm just speculating.
Doesn't this apply to every superstar who doesn't win a championship that year? Can't we manufacture the story that, like, Embiid might
But this
not
isn't
be happy?
a manufactured story. This is a tip that we got.
No, but can't we, right? So if I pulled a Palenka and I was like, yo, listen, I was in Philly and Ben Simmons, not really that excited about Embiid, you'd be like, that makes sense. Whatever, right? Like,
Oh,
every
sure,
superstar,
sure.
right?
But what I'm saying is what we heard has been more or less not verified, but is exactly what's coming out now. I'm going to say our information was decent.
Shout out to our buddy, but like when I heard that news, when he told it to us, I was just like, this is not anything, right? Like, well, we could pretty much see.
But it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, surprise. Somebody doesn't like Chris Paul.
Yeah, exactly. And they fought at the end of the game, which they got eliminated in. I mean, like, do we make fun of players like Dwight Howard because they don't take losses seriously. So when we see Chris Paul taking a loss seriously, we're like, there's something wrong with chemistry. Like, what do we want?
Our source also said that the
AD
Rockets tried to make a play to get Giannis last offseason, which is kind of under the same umbrella of,
I'm sure there was a call
yeah,
made.
give him a call.
Yeah.
See if Giannis is available.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And our source also said Anthony Davis was dining with LeBron, and that ended up being actual news. But also,
Two different sources, though.
yeah. And it also turns out that, like, yeah, you have dinner with people who you share agents with. And, like, these guys are all friends. So it goes back to banana boat stuff. Like, how real. Of course, LeBron wanted to play with Dwayne Wade. Of course, he wants to play with Melo, but at what cost? You know, like, we could. I think if you ask all these players, like, if James Harden was sitting right here, it'd be like, do you want to play with Chris Paul for 5 more years, or do you want to, like, go play in Golden State? He's like, well, what are you talking? What are you proposing? You know, like, I just think it's like a reasonable thing.
But it's also what is public, what is official versus what do guys say? What do guys say when they're talking to their management or their friends? I remember sitting at a table at a restaurant near an NBA player last year.
I remember
or
this
something,
story, but it ended
and
up
he did end up getting traded, but it was
a year later, right?
Yeah, but a player saying, I want to be traded. I don't want to be on this squad anymore. And it was a good team and that he was on, and he just didn't want to be there. And him saying, oh, I want to go anywhere except for Sacramento. And they started being like Garrett Temple.
Yeah.
Like just like roasting Garrett Temple for no reason. But that player would never publicly say that. But around guys, you're speaking flippantly. And he was around a lawyer and a manager, and they're just talking shit. Yeah. And so when you get gossip that's coming from sources that are outside of basketball, like this is how he feels, guys talk shit.
And this is complicated, sin bin, risk, but like our buddy went to shoot a star young player for the Mets once who hurt his ankle. And at the shoot, he was like, my ankle's real messed up. I don't think I can play again. But he was always weeks away from returning, and he actually never really returned. So, like, the information that we get, like, a lot of these NBA beat guys, like, know a lot of stuff that they can't report on because it would be considered, like, a breach of trust with their sources,
Snitching.
you know? In a way,
Like
yes.
videotaping trucks on the street.
Yeah, it's like Baxter Holmes doing that Lakers story that he did this week about Pelinka lying about setting up a meeting with Heath Ledger when Heath Ledger had passed away 6 months earlier. Like, I think every beat reporter on every team can write that story about the team that they're following. And I think we would believe all of it. But it takes... Like, what does it take for something to bubble to the surface? Because I don't think Baxter Holmes writes that piece without the magic drama, knowing all this information already.
So the story that Kuo was talking about was a ESPN report, well-researched, tons of anonymous quotes about...
Super entertaining.
Really fun read. And it was more or less a takedown of the Lakers organization, specifically Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson, who were running the team over the last 2 years. And it detailed a very stressful work environment run by guys who were, in Magic's case, sort of a absent bully, and in Pelinka's case, a
Absent-minded.
cowardly liar, and a guy
aspiring, like, motivational speakers.
and a guy who had such an interesting relationship with words, and that they don't mean anything to him, and he lies with such cavalier frivolity that he is like...
Somebody else has got an interesting relationship with words. Big ones. Important ones.
But to him, statements and truths are as disposable as paper cups. He's someone who would give anecdotes like one about Kobe and Heath Ledger that is completely untrue and deliver it to a room full of people as if it's the truth and he was there and part of this story. It's a remarkable affiliation with... What's what I'm looking for? I don't. It's a relationship with words and truth that is befitting someone who is a super agent
He has a...
Or an entertainer.
or a president.
He has an emotional and deep connection with bullshittery.
Just remarkable.
It made me think about, like, what's the biggest white lie you guys have told? Like, we do it all the time, being like, oh, I had 5 slices of pizza. I'm like, how many did you actually have? Like 3.
That
know?
that Aiden and I are brothers.
Your boss?
Yes. My friend.
Your friend first, who kind of looks like you, for sure.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't really think you guys look.
But that's
alike,
a different kind of
anyway.
lie, right? That's like a Huck Finn tomfoolery kind of lie, right? I'm talking about, like, oh yeah, I was at the Larry Johnson 4-point play game. I'm like, were you? I'm like, I don't think so, but I remember it as if I was.
But there's all these.
I high-fived Mark Wahlberg on the beach once.
Did
after
you?
he did a backflip.
Did
No.
you?
just made that
I'd
up.
believe it though.
Yeah.
That's kind of like with Woodstock, right? Where the amount of
Right.
people who said they were there, triples like every
Yeah.
5 years, and now they're all boomers and they're dying off.
Yeah.
But
If you could see Ben now, I would believe that you were at Woodstock. In your
Team
I'm,
Lithuanian
old,
tie-dye.
tie-dye.
I'm old enough and I'm wearing a tie-dye.
Yeah. And, like, I always think about, like, bands. Like, we always say we saw bands when they were small. Like, I remember I'm old as dust, and I remember going to all these shows, and everyone says they were at these shows, myself included. Maybe I'm
Jeff Buckley at Chennai.
yeah, like There's certain historical shows like The Strokes at Mercury Lounge.
Little Uzi Vert at Elvis Guest House.
I mean, I saw Coldplay with 40 people.
I did too on the Yellow tour,
Yeah,
right?
no one knew who they were.
Parachutes.
So
I love
so
that.
you guys
band.
were in the same room?
No, I was in Australia and he was probably in
Where was this hall? I think
China? Taiwan?
I want to do a Chinese joke so bad.
I
but-
know you do.
I know. You see my like I was like, nah, not okay, not okay.
Especially as a New York Jew, you should not be telling Chinese jokes.
That's right. But like the Palenka white lie was amazing, right? Like to me, that was a reasonable motivational speaking lie. They'd be like, all right, I made that up. But
But his lie that Heath Ledger and Kobe had lunch together to discuss his performance in Return of the Dark Knight when he died
weird.
6 months before the
famously
movie came out.
died.
That is something that like is very easy to verify as a lie.
Yeah,
Yeah, but maybe he just doesn't know his shit.
Well,
That's
that's clear.
like-
That's clearly
No, but
accurate.
Or it could be a
also,
sociopath,
This
you know?
isn't something no one's actually talked about. What if Kobe told Rob that he had dinner?
I'm waiting for Kobe to say something.
No,
for
Kobe
sure.
said no. Kobe has
Oh.
verified that never happened. But
Did he snitch on Palenka?
he snitched on Palenka. But I think that he's the one that planted the seed in Palenka's brain socket in the first place.
The Kobe curse runs deep, man. Everything Kobe encounters or touches just like whittles away to nothing.
Oh, he's toxic.
To be honest, rest
This
in
this
peace.
is my theory that Kobe told Palenka, like, yeah, had dinner with Heath Ledger once to discuss his killer instinct and how he was able to keep going when the building didn't blow up on
just
the
two
right
geniuses
spot. Like,
having breakfast.
yeah, and Rob's like, did you? You really? He's like, yeah, man, you set that shit up. And Rob's like, oh yeah, I did set that up. Or he's
Jedi
just
mind
trying to take
tricked him?
credit for the meeting in the first place. I think Kobe.
Set him. You think Kobe set him up?
I think Kobe set him up. I think Kobe mind fucked him.
Kobe is toxic masculinity in human form.
Dude, I want to see what's that show that he has on TV?
You mean on ESPN
Yeah.
Plus about him like breaking down?
Yeah, what's it
tape?
called?
Mind of the Mamba or something like that.
Whatever.
I think
wanna,
it is like
Mamba O'Clock.
No, but let's. I want to see one of those on how he
Snake
mind fucked
eyes.
Rob Palenka. Right? Let's do that. How he mind fucked Rob Palenka, like a breakdown, a step by step. Let's see that, Kobe.
when I look at the Lakers organization and you see like the Rambai, Kobe, Genie Boss, Magic, Palenka, this entire circus,
Josh Hart.
it's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. And I know Lakers fans dislike it, but this is so much more entertaining than a front office with, say, Philadelphia, which is a bunch of NBA company men and hedge funders. And it's just like weird, kind of uninteresting, silent power grabs with people who have no personality or character, who just want to kind of run shit. The Lakers is awesome. It's this family business that has this berserk idea of mystique that basically just means that like someone at one point like took home Tiffany Amber Thiessen or something. It's this 80,
That must have been Rick Fox because he takes home everyone.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like the Laker mystique is just like
Esports legend
It's just
Rick
like
Fox.
having it popping in like 1980s Los Angeles.
You
Like,
know,
that's
you know
kinda
who really
all it
suffered
was.
from all of this debacle is LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball's got no shine anymore because everyone else is worse than him.
Yeah, he wasn't like doing drugs with Wolfgang Puck in like 1986. Like that's Laker mystique. And I think it's really special, and I'm so glad the Lakers have this dynamic of weirdness. And you know what's kind of not interesting? Is like the Brooklyn Nets, where we're starting to see perhaps an organization that's competently run, that makes good decisions, that knows what they're doing in a major market. And it's kind of boring.
Dude, I'm so grateful to be a Knicks fan. Through all like the bad years, it's super fun.
Like Brooklyn having a meddling Russian oligarch.
Not fun.
And no, it was kind of more fun, right? Than now, where you're like, oh, you're just going to become the Spurs in a big market, and you're going to be really freaking good.
Just wait till Alibaba gets that 2% this summer. It's going to be funny.
Honestly, though, the Spurs East, which are the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to trade for like Anthony Davis. They're going to sign someone. The Spurs are going to be, I keep calling them the Spurs. The Nets are going to be really good, and we're going to be bored by them.
Yeah, it's true. And like, well, back to your LA point, like I always come back to this. I want these teams to be regional. I want like the New Orleans Pelicans to have like French players, you know, and I want the Lakers to have like this turmoil, like this as the world turns kind of like Rick Fox in the middle of some, you know, Kurt Rambis. I want Dallas to be a bunch of like...
You want the Lakers to have aspiring actors?
Always.
I think they do.
Many.
Many.
Yes. But it's great, right? And the Knicks...
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
LeBron James moved to LA to try and become an actor.
It's awesome.
And he's just a waiter instead. He's a fucking bellhop.
Are we going to watch Space Jam 2 more jams?
No, it's because Space Jam 1 is garbage.
It's not that good.
It's
But
not actually called Space Jam 1, though. It's called Space Jam. I'm correcting myself.
the merch, though, fantastic.
Yes, I know. I'd have to watch Ben wear it well into his 40s.
Ooh, that was a burn. Wow. I feel like
shit.
we're fighting now.
It's a really good shirt. It did do the issue where it like springs a hole in it, and then you're like, can I still wear this as an old man, as a Space Jam shirt with an odd hole?
Will people mind my grey nipple hairs poking out of this shirt from '94?
Oh.
It's in the nipple region, though. It's a delicate spot. I don't think it's that my nipple wore the hole. I think it's more of coincidental.
Like 15 people just turned the show off.
Like,
Shout out to you disgusting perverts who are sticking around.
Nick Nurse, we see you.
we've made it an hour and 45 minutes into this playoff pod.
We didn't get into Skepta. We didn't get into airport stuff. We didn't get into Bill Buckner.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be back here in a couple of days. So
What's
let's
up with
save
pig
it.
brains?
Yeah,
Next week, pig brains.
For sure.
Look. Sometimes I don't like all the extra stuff we talk about because I'm a basketball expert, not an expert on everything else.
You hate when we get into movies, for example.
Yes,
God.
but I can't wait to hear about airports on Monday.
Pig brains, airports, Skepta, Bill Buckner, Berenstain Bears.
Nelson Mandela?
Game 2 of the
Mandela
NBA
effect.
Finals.
Oh yeah, that too.
We've talked about the Mandela effect before. I just had deja vu. Am I in the Matrix? We've done the Mandela bit.
No, I think you're
Have we,
suffering.
or is that next week?
I think you're suffering from the Mandela effect as we speak.
Do you
Is this
remember?
carb on carb?
Do you remember when Sinbad was in a movie about a genius?
Am I stuffing a hoagie with pasta right now?
You're carb on carb. Speaking of carb on carb,
Okay.
cookie. Is a cookie a carb? Yeah.
We could probably... You can make a cookie sandwich. Cut 2 pieces of white bread. Cookie in the middle.
A cookie cake.
That's just a carb.
Isn't a fried chicken sandwich carb on carb?
If you count the breading.
Yeah.
It has to be a standalone carb, I think.
All right.
Well, that's the perfect pod.
Perfection.
Cookies.
Cookies.